So, Carlo, I'd love to know how you got started in all of this. Like, how did this all come to be? Like, what happened? What did you get into? How did you get into all of this? When?
So when I was a kid, I really enjoyed singing. I would sing like opera in the shower sometimes, and then eventually my parents signed me up for voice lessons and also guitar lessons.
Hmm.
And I had really great teachers. That's where I really fell in love with it. Um,
The teachers really have an impact, eh?
yeah, they do. As well as around high school, I started really getting into like listening to music. I mean, my parents had an influence on that as well. You know, my mom was more listening to like hip hop and pop, but my dad listened to like old school rock and stuff like that. Um, but around high school, my best friend Pascal, he really showed me different types of music and stuff. We were listening on like SoundCloud, you know, like Radiohead and Cage the Elephant and stuff like that. And
Mm.
actually, that's when I fell in love with Radiohead and their style and how
Hmm.
like different they were. And A few years later, I think in around maybe like 2017, 2018, Pascal and I started, just messing around. Like he would play guitar and I would sing. We started doing like a few covers. Like I remember we recorded um, a cover of "The Funeral" by Band of Horses,
Yeah,
and
good song.
yeah, and then we started making our own music using like a really cheap. I think it was a free software. We recorded a few songs, and then time went by, and we actually decided, okay, you know what, let's form a band, and we came up with the name Melancholy Lockup.
And how did you come across? How did you come up with that name? Was it just came up somehow randomly, or
Uh,
there's a reason that you chose that?
well, at first we were just brainstorming like a bunch of random names. We wanted to be called um, Entropia at first, which is Italian for entropy and like the
Okay.
chaos of the universe.
Hmm.
But I think that was already taken,
Mm.
so
Okay.
so we had to come up with another name. And I really liked Melancholy Lockup because that was basically what I was doing with my music. Like I was taking my sadness and whatever I was going through, and I was putting it in a locker and
Mm.
getting rid
I
of
like
it,
it.
kind of thing,
Oh, nice.
and then releasing it to the world.
So, and now you mentioned that you're working solo. Your band basically is you guys have like you have your own lives. You
Yeah,
have a friend who's like in Vancouver now, doing his thing, what have you. So it's a little bit more difficult to get together as a band and
yeah,
do things. So you're taking the opportunity to work on your own material.
yeah. I'm stockpiling stuff for now, and I'm hoping that I'll make something very cool with it
Mm-hmm.
eventually.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm.
Do you have any idea like what the timeline is on that? Like when you'll be putting something out, the next thing you'll be putting
I'm
out?
not really trying to pressure myself with a due date right
Mm.
now. I want it to be like the next thing that I release. I want to be very, very good.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So
But not perfect, because otherwise you'll never release it,
yeah, not
right?
maybe not perfect, but I want to be very, very happy with it.
Happy with it,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and that's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I guess so.
that's good. So, yeah, cheers to that. You mentioned singing songs that had to do that basically emotional, had to do with sort of mental illness, um, people that go through trouble,
Yeah. Hmm.
trouble times and what have you, and struggles, personal struggles. Um, why is this important to you?
It's because I've gone through them. I know people who have also gone through them, and it's really tough. A lot of people, well, it gets overlooked a lot, especially in like the workplace or in school, um, because these systems are designed to, they're designed for one type of person,
Hmm.
uh, and they don't really, most of the time, they don't really have resources or, I guess, leniency for people who are going through something,
Hmm.
or they don't even really try to recognize it.
Do you remember when you were first affected in this way?
Um, I mean, high school was tough. yeah, I mean, high school was very tough for everyone. Um, but yeah, I guess around there.
You become more aware
Yeah,
of what's going on in that sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that if you're younger than that, you're not really. I mean, you might be experiencing it, but you don't really understand.
yeah.
And then when you get into that at high school age, you start to realize, okay, this is what's going on. It's
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. A lot of people do go through it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
me included. Yeah, I
yeah,
think most people do.
yeah. And I mean, it doesn't stop necessarily. Like, I've still gone through uh, bouts of depression every so often, or my anxiety levels will rise drastically for a period of time, and then they'll sort of settle down, but they'll always come back.
Mm.
Um, but uh, you know, thankfully, I have art to sort of uh,
Yeah, I was just
you
going to
know
say that.
get rid of that
Yeah,
in a way,
it's true, eh?
to let it go, I guess,
Yeah,
into something else.
mold it into what you need to do, package it up nicely, and send it off.
Yeah,
Yeah, in that regard, you're probably quite lucky, I guess, compared to other people who just don't know how to deal with it.
yeah.
Yeah,
No, creative outlet is definitely very, very important.
yeah, and like you said, the system's not set up for that. Really, it's not
No,
set up for the creative.
no, it's not. Yeah, like most art professions don't really pay well. Pay as
Mm,
well as others,
mm.
and
And the educational system is it's not a very large part of it. And if it is, usually it's quite expensive, so it's out of the reach of most people in a sense,
yeah, I hope so too.
because it's very necessary.
Yeah,
Well, the world needs art, and we sidestep it all the time.
yeah.
We downplay it. So, Carlo, it was really a pleasure to be here and interview you. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in your work. And I would like to maybe down the road, 6 months from now or a year from now, whenever's good, we'll stay in touch and we'll get together again and we'll see what's new on in your artistic world.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thanks
Thank
for
you
the
so much.
interview. Thank you.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
This is war in town. This is war in town. Nobody's here, just bones. Nobody's here, just me. This is a fight of blood. This is a fight.